Hey, y'all. It's Linwood
Hey,
today.
y'all.
All right. It's welcome to Saturday.
Welcome to
Yep,
Saturday,
yep.
y'all.
Hey,
What are we talking about
quick
today?
question. It's about change,
Mm.
right? Now, are have you ever had something like right now, the seasons are changing, and they told us a couple weeks back, it's going to be a longer winter. How many of you all said, oh, 2 weeks more winter?
Thought it was spring already. Thought
Yeah,
she was coming in, but I don't know. But
they
go
don't
ahead.
come. But are you resistant to change? As the title said, change created stability in us,
Mm-hmm.
in our marriage, in our intimacy, and everything. Now, Linwood, why do you say that? That's the question, huh?
I know. I know one thing that they say. The only thing constant in life is change.
Which you would
So
think it have us all over the place. Change, change, change. Change
change.
makes me feel like a fool. No, but it doesn't. So let's get into like I said, like it's a Saturday.
Yep.
Welcome. It's Linwood and Danae, and what do we do, baby?
Hey, welcome, y'all.
Yep.
We help Christian couples align their marriage back to God's design for marriage because we know that when you make God the biggest part of your life together,
Yes.
you will not do life apart from each other.
Yeah.
So we just created this space to talk through some of the issues that keep couples drifting apart instead of drawing back together.
Yeah.
And we just talked through some of those things. And today we're talking about change. Anyway.
Now,
look at this piece of hair sticking up, babe. It's going crazy. Okay, go ahead.
That's a little change. Got to change your hairstyle? No.
All right. It's time. All right, let's go.
Yeah. Now, I would like y'all to look at it this way. We have change, and then we have our routines, right?
What's the difference?
Now, routines is something we do out of expectation or our schedules or something we get used to, right? And so when we get in our routines, some of us get a little resistant to change. And like you said earlier, change is inevitable, right? What you say?
I mean, that speaks to me. One thing that's constant is change, but that does speak to me because I'm a very routine oriented person. Yeah. I like to have my routine. I like to have my morning routine, my workout routine. Yeah. And it can be disturbing when my routine is disturbed.
Well, it was for me too. When I was coming up, I used to like Big Macs and French fries.
Y'all remember that song? Big Mac, filet of fish, quarter pounder French fries, icy Coke, big shake, sundaes, and apple pie.
Okay, don't get us no copyright infringement stuff going on with that song. So we don't own the rights to that song. How about that?
No, we don't.
The Arches do. The people that own the Arches do. So anyway, but I used to do that every year, especially when I could buy my own. August, it was like, this is the time I'm going to have my Big Mac, large order fries, and an orange drink. That's it. And it was around the time football season started kicking off, all that stuff. And it was like, yeah, all right, I'm going to celebrate this way. And that was my thing for years. But guess what? When I got older, that Big Mac, that large order fries,
started those big changes on you, didn't it?
And that dye and that orange drink was not good for me. But am I going to change my routine? Am I going to change, my tradition? Am I going to do that? Or I'm going to stick with that and become so rigid, right? And what happened as I got older, that stuff, I could not live like that.
No.
My arteries started clogging and all that stuff. And guess what I started doing? I started going to the doctor.
Oh, I thought you just want to say you started when you downgraded to the cheeseburger.
No.
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
No.
So you started going to the doctor.
Yeah. If I upgraded actually.
Okay.
I started going to double quarter pounder with cheese.
Oh Lord.
And that's not good. That wasn't good at all. So, but we're talking about change.
Okay.
So I changed and started going to the doctor because my blood pressure changed. Right? My cholesterol changed. My belt size, unfortunately, changed, and it was like, oh my goodness, and then the doctor wanted to change my routine.
Okay.
But what changed was my medication. First time I went in.
You didn't want to change your routine.
I didn't. And her change in my doctor's tone was like, Mr. Hurston, you're either going to take this medicine or you're going to die. Which one would you rather do? And so I didn't want to change my routine. I didn't want to change my tradition. It was something I was so rigid in.
Yeah.
Right. But guess what was becoming rigid? Else,
your arteries.
My arteries, the flow of my blood, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So those numbers are changing.
Mm-hmm.
But my tradition and what I wanted, my preference, right, didn't. Mm-hmm. And so it was like, okay, what is happening? So as I try to stick with my routine, because it's my preference, it's something I want to do. I don't lost everything else, but don't take my
This is mine.
Yeah, this is mine.
This precious.
Yeah. This is my body. This is my mind. This is my, all the mind. But this stuff is changing, right? And it's like, oh man. So I started to recognize I was more into my routine, and things are changing. I'm resistant, right? And I'm disrupting and resistant to the change, but that is causing blood pressure spikes. That's causing cholesterol spikes. That's causing issues in my body. And what did change? My medications from X amount of milligrams to this milligrams to this, the frequency, the number of meds that I'm taking is just like, oh, I gotta change.
So what you're saying is the inability to be flexible instead of rigid.
Yes.
Was actually causing more issues.
It was causing instability.
In your numbers.
In my numbers, in my lifestyle, even in my so-called routine.
Okay.
Because now I'm not getting up at the same time because my body is aching. I'm not thinking correctly because my mind is cloudy. Everything is like really changing. Now I get up and I change my clothes. I'll change my job. I'll change my mind. I'll change classes. I'll change the oil on the car, tires, all other stuff. Even the seasons changing, like I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
But wasn't
changing your routine.
Changing my routine. All those things that I talked about had this one thing in common, but me. And that was change. And I was like, okay, what is going on? And when we got married.
Oh, I could think of something that really spoke to me about change, because when we first got married, one of the things that I really desired was stability. Because I came up in a family where we moved a lot, y'all. We moved over 80 something times. Like I stopped counting, but we just moved a lot for different reasons, different circumstances. And I was just always just on the go, different things. And so I just really desired just some stability I just wanted stability. And so we got that, we were able to be stable for about a good 5 years. And then, you brought up the conversation about living the RV life full time. And then we eventually transitioned into that. But it was really weird because as much as I required stability, we ended up living in an RV, which is your environment and you're basically the home that you're living in changing all the time. Right. So it seemed like it was like a conflict. So it was kind of weird. But one of the things that I really learned in that, especially as it relates to my relationship with Christ, is that God wanted to show me, you don't always find your stability in a place or in a house or in a state, and Florida, Georgia, whatever it is. You can find your stability in me.
Yes.
That is what stabilized me. So he taught me that even as we just drove all throughout these different states and all these different places, in such an ever-changing situation and environment,
circumstances,
everything was always changing, but I was able, like he taught me, like, find your stability in me. And that's like Colossians.
Yes.
Colossians.
So wait a minute. It's alignment time.
It's alignment time.
Yes. Here's the scripture.
This is your power scripture for today. It's Colossians 2:7. Let your roots grow down into him and let your lives be built on him. Then your faith will grow strong in the truth that you were taught. So that's what it was about for me. Like what the thing that really stabilizes you in the midst of change that you have to make, with whether you're changing your routines, is finding your stability in him. So what was God teaching you? Okay.
Jeremiah 17:7 says, blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord and whose hope is in the Lord. Like you say, aligning with him. For he shall be like a tree planted by the waters, which spread out his roots by the river, and will not fear when heat comes, when the circumstances and changes come. But its leaves will be green and will not be anxious in the year of drought, nor will it cease from yielding fruit. So that's Jeremiah 17:7-8 was mine. And so with the tree, if I want to continue to grow, I'm going to shed some leaves in different seasons. What if you saw a tree out here trying to, wait a minute, give me them leaves back. When they're raining, God is doing his work. He's changing the season, knocking the old leaves off and stuff like that. Wind is coming, rain is coming, and knocking all that stuff off so we can have some newness. Because we are planted in him. Now, how does that equate to moving around in an RV, you might ask?
I'm asking, how does that equate?
Because we align with God.
Yes.
And if the circumstances are changing, where do we keep our faith? Where are we anchored? Where are we building on? He's the cornerstone. He's the anchor of our life.
We are always connecting back to him.
That's it.
Yep.
And
it makes me think of the other, like when he says, behold, I do all things new. Yeah. God is a God of change. Even though God remains the same, he changes because he wants to change us. He wants to make sure we grow, that we evolve. And often that comes with being changeable, being able to be adjustable, malleable. Like he puts us on this powder wheel. So he's always changing things about us. We evolve and change over time. He purifies us, changes our perspective. He's growing us all the time. So if you are being more resistant to change, you're going to stay stuck. So
disrupted. Now disruption and resistance causes this effect of adjusting our routine, adjusting our expectations, so it could equate to sometimes being a disappointment. And when you're disappointed quite often, then all of a sudden that little resentment starts to creep in. And that causes more instability during change than centering on what's true. Believe on what's true, what's a good report, what's of good value.
Then the acceptance of what needs to be changed.
In corporate America, it was called redundancy.
Okay.
Right. And that's what we did in RV too. If for some reason the battery went dead or the electricity went out in the camper because of
we
the
have
plug
redundant sources of power.
We would hook up to the generator. Right. And then so in that case, if things are stormy, right, what am I going to hook up to? The source. It's the power that I need, right? The light that I need at the time, and not so much
how you get it,
how I get it.
Right.
So if the word is what we are rooted in, it can move around with us. Like even when they build roads, bridges, and buildings, they incorporate flexibility. The taller the tower, they shake. One of the bridges that's famous is the Golden Gate Bridge. They have pictures where that thing is doing like this. And roads have expansion gaps, where it breathes. So buildings,
all of those things leave room for flexibility. So you're not so rigid in your routine. You're allowing room for change to happen as it's needed and necessary.
So that's it, man. That's how, how this stuff created stability in our life. With being out on the road, things breaking down. Remember that time we was out there in the frame?
Oh man, what's that thing called?
I got to talk about Baltimore. We said we weren't gonna talk about.
Don't blame it on Baltimore.
Look, we went through Baltimore.
Peeps, we love y'all, but
we
man,
do love
we
you.
had a time.
It was some rough roads, and then we got on 95, and they were doing a lot of road work.
Yeah,
I-95 north, and boy, we hit something, and it shook us, and it snapped our suspension.
Yeah,
and it was, I didn't know it was snap. We just hit that boom, and next thing I know, I saw smoke.
Yep.
So we pulled over. Now, that was an adjustment.
That was a big adjustment.
Now, what if I was like, no, that shouldn't happen, and just
wow, because we had our routine. We had our routine. We were headed to our next destination. We we had our rhythm going of how we traveled. And God was like, change is coming, but we didn't know that change was coming.
That did not know.
No.
And so this circumstance
stuck on the side of the road, y'all. What is that thing called?
It was the leaf spring.
Leaf spring. Yeah, our leaf spring broke. And we was like, Yeah. But man, God was so faithful because we was only a mile away from one of the largest RV parts places on the East Coast. It was like unbeknownst to us.
It was a trailer store. It was literally called trailer store, and this is not advertisement for it, but I thank God for the trailer supply.
Yeah,
that was the name of it, right there. And so they loaded it up. It took us a while to get a flatbed that can get our trailer on it.
Right.
And it took us there, sat us there, and everything was fixed. We upgraded and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But that was change.
Yep.
Now, if I would have resisted and say our routine is broken, it could have ruined our entire trek up the East
Coast.
Yeah, and it didn't. No, it actually improved it. It caused it stability. We had better leaf spring.
We have better stability.
And it's like all the stuff that was flying around earlier when we had the weaker.
Yeah, the weaker leaf
springs that they put on there. We upgraded, and it causes stability as we kept traveling together.
Yeah,
and so we had several things like that. So
so sometimes just be open when God wants to change your routine.
That's it.
Because you never know how it can actually bring more stability into your life.
Yeah.
And then, man, that was such a blessing the way he orchestrated and set all of that up for it to happen. But even when it in the midst of it happening, what do? The first thing we do, we prayed. Because we paused and we prayed because okay, God, you have to direct us. You have to help us get through this because we always know that is where we find our stability. And he did it. He did what he do, y'all.
So the question that I would continually ask, and I ask that you ask yourself, what is and who am I in this moment? Who am I in this moment? Am I resistant to the change because of my routine, or am I going to be a change agent and a lot of flexibility in the growth? The growth.
That's good. Yep.
Change creates growth. As my roots are getting deeper, as my faith is being grown, as my hope is getting deeper, all this stuff that's coming. The love is growing. Our marriage is getting stronger. Our relationship with God, our relationship with each other, and relationship with each one of you all is getting stronger and stronger. So it's producing stability in our marriage. It's producing stability in our family. It's producing stability in our relationships.
Like they say, if you ain't changing, you're dying. You ain't growing, you're dying.
If I can change my underwear, I can change my
Hi,
so
Court.
That's it. So hello.
Good to see you, baby girl.
Hi.
That's Courtney.
Oh, is it? Hey.
So So that's what we have for y'all today. And we got some news too. We are so excited. We did our first masterclass early this morning and it was amazing. It was awesome. Shout out to those who were able to join us.
Yes.
It was just great. And we actually were able to open up our waiting list for our coaching program that we have. So I'm going to drop the link in here so that y'all can get access to that. We are opening up the doors probably in about a month for our Marriage Undefined coaching program. So I'm going to drop this in. Talk to the people, babe, while I drop this in.
Well, it begins on May 1st as we're going to open it up. And so we can get a compatibility, what you call them things? Talk or whatever, so we can continue to grow this. And that's it. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. She changed on me too quick.
That's the first step, is just on a compatibility call, just to see if y'all we're all a good fit for each other. Yeah. But we're pretty excited about that. I'm gonna drop this link in here, and
looking forward to what it is a 6-month program. We check in with the couples once a month, and it's us together as well as you all. And then there's other options, but that's basically what it is. We check in once a month. We go through the framework, you cater it and customize it to you all. Mm-hmm. And this is what God has allowed us to do in our travels, in our everyday of blending the family. We've used this framework, and it's very customizable. And so I thank God for the opportunity to share it.
Yep.
So that's it.
We're excited about it.
We're excited about
it. All right, y'all. I think that's all we got for y'all today. Yep. It's been a long morning.
Well, we had a great day.
We did. We had a great day. We hope y'all are having an amazing Saturday as well.
And remember to always make every day a date day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day. All right. That's it. Love you guys. We'll catch y'all on the next one.
Peace.
Peace.